So in this episode of Viral Rewind, we're looking at the Kela-17 DOS virus. Now it also goes by the name TPE.Kela, and the reason for that is Kela-17 is a file-infecting memory-resident virus, but it also has the added benefit of polymorphism and stealth capabilities. The polymorphism goes back to why it's called TPE.Kela, because TPE stands for the Trident Polymorphic Engine. It's actually a polymorphic engine that was developed by the Trident virus group, and it was used in a number of different viruses aside from Kela. So that's why it gets the name TPE.Kela, because it makes use of that Trident polymorphism engine. So we've got Kela there in our temp directory, Kela45.com. So if we run it, runs the file, loads it into memory, and now anytime we run any .exe or .com file, it will infect it with Kela's viral code. Now, because it's stealthy, we're not going to see that file size increase. So let's go to the temp DOS directory and look at something like tree.com. It's pretty small at only 6,334 bytes. You run tree, and we look at it again. It hasn't gone up in size, but our overall disk space has gone down, so it has in fact infected tree.com. Again, if we look at something like mem, which is, well, meme is not correct, more like that. It's 20,133. Again, we run mem. That is also infected, but of course we don't see the file size increase. The interesting thing is when it infects .exes, it actually does not show a decrease in the overall disk space like it does with .com files. So if we find another .com file here, just for the sake of it, like mouse, yeah, we got that. And our overall disk space has decreased again. But again, this only happens when infecting .com files. We don't see this decrease with .exes, but I can assure you that those .exes are infected as well. The other thing about Kela is it infects the root command.com file, or whichever one the system is using for boot up. In the case of this, it's actually in the C DOS directory. So not only does it infect files, but it automatically infects command.com, so every time the computer boots up, Kela gets loaded into memory, and so it will continue its infection routine. So, obviously, we've covered that it's a stealth virus. It's got polymorphism with that Trident polymorphic engine. It resides in memory, and it infects your .exe and .com files. But like all viruses, it's got a payload, and it's mainly just a graphics payload. And it happens whenever the date happens to be Friday the 13th. So it needs to be Friday, and it needs to have the day of the 13th. And it just so happens that November 13th of this year is going to be a Friday the 13th. So we have met the payload requirements for the virus. So if I rerun one of those affected programs like mem, we get the graphical payload. And we get this animated graphics thing of it scrolling through different colors with Kela there showing real big, along with a bunch of little Kelas in the background also scrolling through color gradients and things like that. And it will just keep on doing this. Again, all the input to the computer is disabled, so can't do anything with that. We can still use ctrl-alt-del. So it's gone through the whole graphical cycle now. It's now going to start repeating it here shortly. So now it's starting over again. And like I say, it's going to do this the whole time. So, it's Friday the 13th. Your command.com is booted. Or infected, I should say. When you boot your computer up on Friday the 13th with that infected Kela command.com, I guess it's going to be no surprise what's going to happen. And boots right back to the Kela graphical payload. So that is pretty much it for the Kela-17 or TPE.Kela DOS virus.